Hi everybody, welcome to the members bonus video segment for Lake Naconiche, just north of Nacogdoches, Texas. If you haven't actually seen the show yet, go over to our YouTube channel and watch the actual episode from Lake Naconiche. Now, we didn't have time to tell you a lot of information about this lake, so I'm going to attempt to give it to you right now. First of all, there's one park, the lake. In fact, it's back over my right shoulder back there. You can't see it in the background, but it's located right between the two arms of the lake. It's a really nice park with a couple of nice restrooms, a swimming beach, very well maintained boat ramp, parking lot. I think there may even be some hiking trails up there. So it's a really nice park about 14 miles north of Nacogdoches, Texas. Now, the lake is situated where Naconiche Creek and Telesco Creek come together. So those are the two major arms of the lake. The lower end of the lake, from the mouths of those two creeks down to the dam, is the only open water in the lake. It's about 110 surface acres. All the rest of the 700 acres of this lake is solid standing timber. So I need to give you some safety information first. Be very cautious. If you're going to run your boat up in either one of these two creeks, there is a small boat lane. I think it's a natural channel basically that is void of timber. It's about 20 yards wide that snakes its way up both channels, but it's hard to stay in, so don't go fast. Take your time. There are tons of huge pine trees that have fallen over in the water. Some of those could be just under the surface of the water, so be very careful if you're going to run your boat up in either one of those two creeks. Next safety item, there are thousands and thousands of red wasps in those dead trees. I read about this first on the Texas Fishing Forum and I found it to absolutely be true. So be very careful. Try your very best not to bump those trees with your boat. And if you see those wasps beginning to swarm around, don't swat at them, don't flail at them. And we found that they'll keep moving on if you'll just be real still, real calm, and don't make those red wasps angry. Be sure and bring some Benadryl and some stingies along with you to this lake in case you do happen to get stung by one of those red wasps. As far as the fishing goes, I found the fishing to be very difficult here for a couple of reasons. One, it's the needle in the haystack theory. Up in both creeks, everything looks the same, and I didn't have a topo map, so I don't know what the bottom does. Everything looks to be about 20 feet deep up there and solid standing timber, and everything looks like a bass and you really don't know what to cast at. So I'm a little bit lost when I get in that kind of cover. There are some huge bass that have been caught up in those two creeks though, including the 12.5 pounder that's the lake record and some other bass over 10 pounds. So I know there are some monster fish up there. The only consistent pattern I found was fishing some of the grass beds, the hydrilla beds that come out and drop off into deep water. In fact, I'll show you right here in front of the boat. We can kind of pan over a little bit and you can barely see that green. That's all very shallow hydrilla, but if you follow it out there to the left, you'll see that that kind of peters out and drops off out into about 15 feet of water. I was able to pattern a lot of 2-pound largemouth bass off the points and the ends of those grass beds, and I wound up catching quite a few of those, but nothing over 2 pounds. So all those big quality fish that I know are in this lake, frankly, I didn't figure out, and I fished parts of 2 days. So I guess it would take a lot more hours to pattern the fish here, and I'm sure some of the locals have got it figured out. Again, there are some giant fish in this lake, some big bass. There are also a bunch of crappie. Saw several anglers crappie fishing up in those creeks. I caught 2 really nice crappie by accident while I was bass fishing on bass lures. I caught one on a Jean LaRue Who Daddy and another one on a Strike King Series 5 crankbait. So there must be a ton of crappie in this lake if they'll bite those bass lures. I never actually fished for crappie, but I think I could have caught a lot of crappie as well. I saw a few catfish swimming around in shallow water. Didn't fish for those as well, but I think there are catfish in the lake as well. So that's your 3 primary game fish in Lake Naconiche: largemouth bass. I did catch a spotted bass, crappie, and catfish. I hope you enjoy your trip to Lake Naconiche. If you're planning a trip here, again, don't expect the bass fishing to be easy, especially during these hot summertime months. I think most of those big bass were caught off beds during the spawning season. We'll see you next week on the Southwest Outdoors Report.